My name is Sergeant Brian Bauer. That's spelled B-R-I-A-N. Last name is Bauer, B-O-W-E-R. I am a sergeant with the Phoenix Police Department under the Public Affairs Bureau. I want to say thank you for you guys for your patience. I know it's been a long night. Thank you for that. So the reason that we got called out here is there was an officer-involved shooting that occurred in this apartment complex. The location here is 17617 North 9th Street. I do want to start off and let everybody know that the information that I'm about to provide is just preliminary information, and it is subject to change as the detectives continue their investigation and find new information as they continue that investigation. With that being said, Phoenix Police Department responded to a call of a subject that was drinking and driving in the area of Central Avenue and Bell Road. This original call came out about 2:30 p.m. When officers responded to the area, the individual that was calling 911 was constantly updating 911 dispatch, who in turn was notifying the police department on the exact movements of this individual that was driving. Some of the information that came across on that radio communication was that this individual was seen actively drinking from what they believed to be an alcohol bottle, was also making erratic movements and driving erratically in the street. At one time, they indicated that the individual almost hit a pedestrian in the street. That caller followed the driver all the way to this apartment complex and watched as the driver pulled his truck backwards into a parking spot just behind me. The information stayed consistent with officers, and the witness who called into 911 stayed here watching the vehicle, kind of giving a play-by-play until officers came into the apartment complex. Once officers identified the vehicle that was on the call, the first officer on scene got out and began looking at the vehicle and observed that there wasn't a male inside the truck, kind of laid back in the driver's side with loud music playing. Once the second officer came on scene, they both started walking towards the driver's seat. They did see a rifle in the front portion of the truck. As they contacted the male driver, who was the sole occupant of the vehicle, they had him get out of the car. He was cooperative with officers at that time. The officer saw indications that this individual was intoxicated and began an investigation for driving under the influence of liquor. It was at this time that during this continued investigation into a DUI, the officers noticed a handgun that was also in the driver's side mat pocket on the driver door. The man, while they were going through this investigation, began making his way towards the driver's door, reached in and grabbed the gun from that mat or the pocket of the driver's door. The officer noticed this immediately and began struggling with the individual for that gun and control of that firearm. During that struggle, the second officer came over, and that's when the officer-involved shooting occurred. Phoenix Fire Department were called. They responded to the scene. They transported this man to a local hospital where he did die from his injuries. The officers involved are currently part of this criminal and under administrative investigation, which is protocol for the city of Phoenix. I do want to let the citizens and the community members know in this area that there is going to be heavy police presence for the majority of the night while this investigation continues. We also want to just notify everybody that the city's transparency policy when it comes to these officer-involved shootings, we're going to hold true to those. Within 14 days, the body camera video and several other items of this investigation will be provided to members of the community. With that being said, I'd be more than happy to take some questions.
So just to be clear, there was both a rifle and a handgun inside the car.
That is correct. The rifle was situated in the front of the truck. The handgun specifically was in the driver's door pocket.
And he was reaching for the handgun?
Correct.
Okay.
Not just reaching for the handgun. I do want to clarify that he actually had possession of the handgun while he was struggling with the officer for control of that gun.
Can you confirm that this is a man driver?
Yes, this is confirmed that it is a adult male driver who, again, was shot, taken to a local hospital, and pronounced deceased.
And the 911 caller really was the one who was able to give a lot of information to officers about location and everything. But for those who are watching, I mean, is following a drunk driver or doing that play-by-play, is that really what you guys are recommending people do if they see this happening?
Yeah, if you see an intoxicated driver or a vehicle that you suspect as being intoxicated and they're posing a threat to the community, the traveling community, which was indicated in this 911 call of driving erratically, swerving throughout the streets, and potentially hitting a pedestrian, absolutely be a great victim. Contact 911 and give us as much descriptions as you possibly can.
And we know that what you all do is very difficult. This is the third officer-involved shooting that has happened this week. What would you say to the community, though, that has a lot of questions about this?
Yeah, I'd like to ensure them that we hold up to our transparency policy. We will provide the body cameras, the information related to all three of these officer-involved shootings within that 14-day period. I'd also say that officers have a difficult job, as you mentioned. We don't know what's going to happen on each call. We are a very reactionary job where we react to each situation and react to the actions that people present to us.
How long did this person follow the person who had been drinking and driving for? Like, where did it start? Where did it obviously end up here?
So the call came out, like I said, about 2:30 p.m. And that was in Central Avenue and Bell Road. The stop, I can't give you the exact time of that, but I know the officer-involved shooting came out at 2:45 p.m. So that kind of gives you a good rough estimate of the time frame.
Do we know at this time if the suspect was able to discharge either of his firearms, or was it solely the officer that was able to discharge?
Right now, that's still under investigation. Clearly, we know that the officer was involved in the officer-involved shooting, which caused the death of this man. Everything else is still under investigation. We have detectives out here that just started their investigation. They're going to be speaking with all the witnesses, watching all the body-worn cameras, and then going through the time frame minute by minute to find out what led up to this.
How long did it
take initially from the first contact with the suspect to the officer-involved shooting?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that exact time breakdown right now with me. I can just tell you 2:45 was the time that was put out for the officer-involved shooting. All right, one last question, if we have any.
Do we know the age of the suspect at this time, or no?
No, not at this time. It's still under investigation. We need to make sure that proper notifications are made with their family, but I can assure you that it's a adult male. That's what I can provide at this time.
No injuries to officers?
No injuries to officers. All right, thank you so much for coming out here, and again, I appreciate your guys' patience. I know this has been a long night, so thank you.